So, funny story. I'm bad at writing jokes. Like, I'll own the fact that I can be funny in the moment, in conversation, hanging out with my friends. But when it comes to writing jokes to put in a podcast, like, I'm just not that person, at least not most of the time. I'm so pathetic at this. In fact, I literally Googled the phrase jokes about money to find some inspiration to write this bit at the top of the show about our Patreon page. And what came up are mostly dad jokes. And anyone who knows me knows that I absolutely love dad jokes. There are gems like, a little boy asked his father, "Daddy, how much does it cost to get married?" Father replied, "I don't know, son. I'm still paying." By the way, apparently straight people fucking hate marriage because a lot of these jokes are from the perspective of men complaining about their wives spending money. I don't know. If we're embracing stereotypes, I'd rather overspend on a new wardrobe than overspend on, well, I'm gesturing emphatically at all of the awful things we're not going to talk about because this is the good news episode. Anywho, there are a few new patrons to thank. You all are what makes this show possible, and you have our sincerest gratitude. So, Joe, Anna, Janet, Bernard, Brian, and Dawn, thanks for helping us befuddle, confuse, and enrage the straights and the cis by, like, existing and stuff. Love you, friends. Your source for news, commentary, discussion, and debate at the intersection of the atheist movement and the LGBT rights movement. This is the Atheist Manifesto. Hello, dear friends, and welcome back to the Atheist Manifesto. I am your host, Callie Wright, joined by my very special guest co-host, my dear, dear friend, Marissa Alexa McCool. Welcome, love.
At this point, am I even a guest? 2 in a row, 10th or 11th time, and we're the same person down to the tagline I told you I was perfectly willing to let you steal. It's not my fault we were confused for each other at ReasonCon, but the morph began then, and it can't stop now.
So, hello, dear friends, and welcome to the Atheist Manifesto. I'm your host, Callie Wright, joined once again by my clone, Marissa Alexa McCool. So we have two of the same person on the podcast. It's fine.
That's right. The SJWs that YouTube atheism warned you about.
So today we are continuing a proud tradition, maybe the proudest in all of Gaytheist history, and this is the tradition of the Good News episode. This is our semi-regular episode where we forget what an absolute fucking dumpster fire the world is and celebrate the good things in our world, because yes, they do in fact exist. Riss and I are going to share some good news from our own lives. We'll talk about some good things happening out in the world from the news, and we will, as always, end the episode sharing good news from you, our dear listeners.
Yeah, given my past 2 weeks, being a part of this couldn't be better timed either. For what it's worth, within the span of 9 days, I was broken up with twice in the same day, including by a partner who lived with me, and I lost my job. But good news came out of some of that, albeit not entirely formed yet, but I'll get there.
Sweet. I am stoked is probably the wrong word to hear about that. You know what I mean. So since you are the clone special guest and the same person as me anyways, it doesn't really matter who goes first. So let's have you go first. What do you got?
Okay. So like I said, I lost my job. But the reason I lost it was because I stood up for myself in a hostile work environment that was created by me filing a complaint about my supervisor repeatedly misgendering me. And I refused to accept the treatment that they were giving me, which was to jerk me around, send me to a bunch of different locations, and then on no notice, expect me to do a job that I didn't apply for. And when I said that the job made me physically uncomfortable, they said, well, you have to do that or you're fired. And I didn't take their bullying. So I am out of a job for now, but I do have Patreon and book sales and all that. And it's also less than 2 months from my surgery. So I did manage to keep afloat there, and I also kept my dignity, and I think that's pretty important.
Yeah, absolutely. Kudos to you for standing up for yourself, because you definitely don't deserve that. I mean, no one does, but you know what I mean.
Right. And, you know, I can understand an accidental sir in like the first week, maybe the first month, but after 8 months, it seemed kind of intentional. Oh,
for sure.
Right. And they didn't even know me as anything else. So it's not like they even had that adjustment excuse. But I also have my first paid speaking gig at the Free Thought Alliance convention in Lakewood, California next month. I'm even on the poster. Yay. And it was such an unfamiliar position for me because I'll go speak at anywhere for nothing all the time. I do it all the time. But they asked what my honorarium was, and I said, I've never been asked that before. I don't know.
Yeah, can I tell you a really funny story? The first time I was asked what my honorarium was, I was like, okay, so I need to go Google the word honorarium because I don't know what that means.
Another piece of good news, which I sent you pictures from yesterday. In the aftermath of my breakups, my partner Sarah has been absolutely incredible. I'm at their house right now. And yesterday they took me to what was called a choo-choo paddle, which is where you get to take a train ride on an excursion train. And anybody who's followed me more than 5 seconds knows I'm absolutely obsessed with trains. And the idea was you hooked up with this marina and you rented a kayak from them. And you took the train and then they met you at the end of the line and then gave you a kayak so that you could paddle back. And it was on the St. Louis River, which is in northern Minnesota, just short of Lake Superior in Duluth. And if you've never been up there, I highly recommend it. Callie, Kim.
Subtle. It's good.
Yeah. I'm going to bribe you to come up here. It's going to happen. But when I got back from the gift shop, there was a hand painted loon that I saw in the gift shop, and I was like, "Oh, loon, I want it!" And for those not from the north, the loon is my favorite animal. It's a duck-like bird that has the most hauntingly beautiful call. Probably my favorite sound in the world. And when we got back, it was there waiting for me because Sarah's wonderful, and I can't say enough good things about them. And then we had dinner at my favorite restaurant in Duluth, and it was just the perfect day.
Yeah, and I can hear it in your voice and the way that you're talking. Like, I can just tell that you're in a really, really good place, and that makes me so happy because you deserve that.
Thank you. And I am. I'm very lucky. It was kind of addition by subtraction, shall we say.
Right.
Everything is wonderful and now more wonderful because of where it is. Aiden, my darling, cute husband, is almost exclusively attracted to cis men, which isn't always the most comfortable thing in the world for me. But he's managed to attract 2 of them recently that I both already know and am very comfortable with. So all that time he's spending on Facebook messaging with them, I'm actually fine with. So podcasting can be amazing sometimes because that's how they know both who I am and who he is. So that's fun.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm getting a vagina for my birthday. My birthday is September 12th, and my science vagina installation is September 13th. And my fiance, Devin, and that's so much fun to say since they proposed on the 25th of June, even though it's not going to be legal by the state. Fuck the state. We're getting married.
Right.
And they'll be handling every aspect of my care, staying with me in the hospital. And did I mention they proposed and that my matron of honor will be the person I consider my best friend? That's going to be fun.
Oh, who's that? I want to meet that person.
Yeah. I think we were both confused for Celeste at some point, or Celeste for both of us. I'm not sure how that worked, but there was more than one trans woman at ReasonCon, or so I'm told.
Yes. There were an entire gaggle of us.
And that is the appropriate term, I'm told.
Well, that's awesome. I am so glad to know that there is lots of good stuff going on for you because you deserve all of it, and it makes me very, very happy. So I've got a couple of things. So I actually posted an entire one-off extra episode of the show with this really big, long description of sort of my deteriorating mental health and where I think that might be coming from and why it was happening. And I never really said anything on the podcast as an update to that, just kind of leaving folks hanging, which is kind of a dick move on my part. So sorry about that. So kind of an update on that, and it belongs in the good news episode because it is good news. I'm actually in a lot better place now. So I was convinced for a long time that part of the reason was that I was just constantly running from project to project, piling stuff on top of myself. I have so much to do. I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what's going on, and I can't keep anything straight. Not that I do straight well, but
I was going to say, what the hell?
But what I figured out is that it's not that I had projects piling on top of of each other. It was that I was doing some stuff that I don't know if it necessarily meant stuff to me. And so what I did was I had this panic reaction where I just kind of withdrew from everything. And it was like, yep, I'll do the podcast. I'll make some vague posts on Facebook every once in a while. And that's going to be my sum total of interaction with the world. And that it was great for a while because it let me wind down. But it eventually was like, no, I'm feeling the same way that I used to. And then I jumped back into a couple of things, but I rearranged a little bit. And so what I figured out is that I am hardwired to be in motion always. But my favorite band, Thrice, has a song called Motion Isn't Meaning. And like that just kept going through my head. Motion isn't meaning, but meaning is what counts, right? So if I'm constantly running around like a chicken with his head cut off, but what I'm doing actually means something to me, if there's an end goal that's going to help me or help Celeste or help society or help my community or anything like that, then I'm all for it. And I don't mind being run ragged because at the end of the day, I have a sense of purpose and I feel good about what I'm doing. And so I can take some self-care, an hour or two to hang out and relax and decompress, but I can jump back in. And so I just need to err on the side of more of lots of projects, but projects that have meaning and purpose attached to them. And so to that end, I'm studying to get Cisco certified because I'm a nerd, learning all about networking and all of that fun stuff because it's just absolutely fascinating to me. Like, hey, here are these million computers. How do we get them to talk to each other? Oh, here's how. It's endlessly fascinating to me and probably super, super boring to a lot of people, which is fine. So I won't go into a lot of detail, but that's something I'm really excited about. And I mean, I like my job, don't get me wrong, but this will probably lead to higher paying jobs, which is cool.
I feel like it's even more appropriate to say that we are the exact same person because someone I met recently asked what I did, and I listed, podcasting, speaking, writing books, and the other stuff that I do. And they're like, okay, maybe a shorter list would be what you don't do. So I really feel what you're saying about
yes.
always being in motion and stuff super hard because like we said, we're the same person.
Yep. It's pretty definitive at this point. And I've talked on the show, actually, I think on the last Good News episode was like right when I was starting to train for roller derby and I was going to these open practices and I'm actually trying out for a team in 2 weeks. So I'm really, really excited about that. That has seriously just been so good for me. It's helped me be more assertive and more confident. Just like every time I'm like, hey, let's do this thing. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't do this thing. But I try it anyways. And it's like, oh, maybe I can do this. Like, I'm not an expert at it. I'm not good at it, but I can do it. And like, I can improve and get better. And it's instilled like an entirely new sense of confidence in me that I almost didn't know I was missing, which is really awesome. Going to Star Trek Las Vegas for the first time. And like, speaking of me running myself ragged, so the timeline goes, I'm leaving for Star Trek Las Vegas on the 2nd, which I believe is a Thursday. Saturday night, we're doing the big Gaze in Space party where hopefully I'll get to hang out with some Star Trek celebrities, which is cool. My friend Dan, who runs the thing, wants me to give a talk at the party, which is awesome because I'm going to get up in front of a bunch of people and nerd out about why Star Trek means a lot to me. And then I'm going to leave the party about 10:30 Saturday night. My flight leaves at 11:30 Saturday night, about a 3.5 hour flight across 3 time zones. I get back Sunday morning at about 6 a.m. and roller derby tryouts are at 9:30 that morning. So, yeah, that's a little bit about who I am as a person.
That reminds me of the time that I flew back from California right before I took a midterm. So and because I don't follow Star Trek at all, I only have one Star Trek anecdote. And I have to ask, have you ever heard my George Takei impression?
Oh, God, no.
So what I like to do with George Takei's voice is quote terrible lyrics. So this is just for you, Callie. Don't you wish your girlfriend was hot like me?
Oh, my God. That is one of the greatest moments on this podcast to date, hands down. Oh my God. That's so good. And last bit of Callie personal good news, and we'll get a little bit more into this because the 1-year surgery follow-up episode is coming. We're organizing that now. That actually should be next week's episode. Not promising definitively, but it should be next week's episode. So I've kind of alluded to on Facebook and stuff that I was having a little bit of trouble with sex stuff after surgery. And I went home and like, just full disclosure, Celeste has given me permission to share these kinds of things on the podcast. I helped a friend move yesterday. I came home. Celeste was in the mood and she kind of jumped me a little bit. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's give this a shot. Let's try it. Cause like if I stay so scared that I don't try it, it's never going to happen. Right. Like it, and so I tried it. I got out this vibrator that I bought and kind of went to town, and it like took me a couple of minutes to figure out exactly how things worked, but it was awesome. I didn't orgasm because I got overstimulated very quickly, which makes sense because I really haven't done anything sexual in about a year. But it was still amazing, and it was a huge relief. And I spent like 10 minutes crying after it was over with because it was just such a relief. Like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a thing. This can happen. So yeah, I'm really, really excited about that. And I'll tell more of the story in the year surgery follow-up episode. But to quote Megatron, I still function. Transformers fans will get the joke.
So glad to hear that, especially because mine's less than 2 months away and I am terrified. Not only have I never had surgery, I've never even been in the hospital before. For physical reasons. So following you and a couple other people I know who have gotten theirs recently has been encouraging, if not terrifying, when you've talked about some of the problems you had. But I feel like if I'm going to trust anybody with this, the Mayo Clinic is a pretty good place to do so.
For sure.
It's also good that I don't have to do like the time after the hospital where I'm still on the catheter and everything. They do all of that at the Mayo. I didn't have to get laser hair removal because their process at the Mayo does that for you during the surgery. Mm-hmm. So like there's a lot of things that some trans women have had to go through that I fortunately will not have to do.
Yeah, that's really exciting. And I know, like, as a sidebar conversation, a lot of the difficulties that I've experienced are kind of unique in my experience talking to other trans women who've gone through surgery. I have a friend who, like, when she talks about dilating, she's like, dilating is just annoyingly boring. And I'm like, God, like, I hope it is that for you, my friend, because it was rough for me.
Fortunately, I do have Devin managing it, and Devin, my fiance, because I can't get enough saying that, has experienced being a long-term caregiver and has just been an absolute angel, just organizing everything for aftercare, like managing people who want to help down to everything so that I can focus on getting ready. And then I won't also have to worry about it after surgery.
Yeah. And that's such a huge thing, having that support, having somebody who you can trust to take care of you. So you don't have to the other stuff is taken care of, so you can just focus on you, and like that is so huge. So like that's going to take a lot of the difficulty away for sure.
Yay.
Awesome. So let's talk about some good news in the world, because there is some good news in the world, despite the fact that there's a lot of not good news in the world, which we're not going to get into because it's the good news episode, right? So I'm going to be honest and say I've found some things on this site that are a little questionable. So I don't know that I would give a blanket endorsement of this site, but goodnewsnetwork.org is where I found these stories. And individually, these stories are good. I saw a couple of that kind of made me scratch my head a little bit. Cause like Good News Network sounds vaguely like Christian, like evangelical-ish, I guess is a word. But nonetheless, these are stories of good things that are happening, which is pretty cool. So the first one is couple takes it upon themselves to turn ocean trash into prosthetic limbs for kids that only cost $45. This is the shit. So basically this couple just had an idea, and so they take a bunch of plastic out of the ocean, they shred it, and then they 3D print prosthetic limbs. And so basically what they do is they use an app to connect people who need these prosthetics, and they, here's my measurements, here's what I need. They 3D print out, and it costs like $45. And I guess even then, the way the article reads it sounds like the people who get the limbs don't even actually pay for them. It's like they pay through like donations and sponsorships and that kind of stuff. And so like the people who are getting them, the way that it looks isn't actually, they're not even actually paying the $45, which is cool. they've donated 18 limbs to folks who have need them, and this is really cool. And so at this point, I guess they're just working on like a commercial sized shredder so they can shred all the plastic, and so they can make more. So like, just like talk about like, okay, here's this massive problem, here's this other massive problem that seems wholly unconnected. Yeah, we're gonna put the two together and we're gonna do something. Like that's mind-blowingly cool to me.
Yeah, it's sad we have to do that because of the state of medical care in America.
Right.
But I'm glad that some people are doing this because they want to and because it's a good thing, not because they can make money off of it.
Right. Yeah. It's one of those that like, capitalism caused this. It doesn't have to be this way, but it is this way. So like, let's figure out how to navigate it while we're plotting on tearing the system down. The next one is cyclist carries injured stray dog to safety on his back, then bumps into a stranger who instantly adopts it.
Aww.
And this is the most adorable story. So these guys are cycling through the mountains. They stop to take a break, and this dog sort of limps out of the woods, injured, like broken leg, some road rash. And they're like, what do we do? So they literally just get this dog up on one of the cyclists' back, and like there's a picture. There's going to be a link to the story in the show notes so you can see these pictures. But there's a picture of this dog just riding on the cyclist's back with its little chin laying on the biker's helmet, and it's so just adorable and sad at first. But then, they take it into this vet. Or no, hang on. So they didn't want to leave it alone in the forest. So yeah, they were 7 miles into town. They stopped at a local bike shop, and they wanted to get the dog more food and water. And this woman who just happened to be in town for work purposes happened to be in the bike shop and just felt this connection. So she was like, you know what? I'm going to adopt this dog. I'm going to pay for his medical bills. And she even found an organization that would get the dog from where they were in Georgia to her farm in Maine. And so now she has this Facebook page. It's called The Adventures of Columbo. The dog's name is Columbo because he was in Columbus, Georgia when they found him. And there's a Facebook page called The Adventures of Columbo, which I will also link in the show notes. And it's amazing because the cyclist even says, had I been 5 minutes earlier or 5 minutes later, we wouldn't have crossed paths. It's pretty cool how far he's come. And there's all kinds of cute pictures and videos and stuff. Like I said, the link will be in the show notes if you want to check it out. And just good stories with puppies. I want a puppy so bad, but pet rent is really expensive in my apartment complex. It's silly.
Yeah. That's the case for a lot of people. I know. Even ours is $100 a month.
Blah.
2 kitties, so...
And then the last one, this is a quick one because there's not a lot of description. There's like a 4-minute video. But the headline is, amusing tale of grandma defeating rabid bobcat with her bare hands is, quote, the kind of story we need right now. And holy shit, do I agree. So she was standing in the driveway of her home in Georgia. She saw a mangy bobcat approaching. So she took a defensive stance and apparently just beat the shit out of this rabid bobcat. Which, like, the internet's a wonderful place.
It really is. I feel like another good one to mention is the waitress who body slammed the guy who groped her.
Oh my God, yes!
That was great, even though the media spun it with things like, waitress body slammed father of 2 at restaurant who was just trying to move her. Because apparently when someone touches someone inappropriately, what we have to do is establish why you should feel sorry for them. But I saw the video and it was great.
Yeah, like if somebody's in my way and I need them to move and they're not responding verbally, you know what I do? Tap them on the shoulder. Because that's generally speaking, obviously not everyone is comfortable with that, but generally speaking, you can assume that a gentle tap on the shoulder is the universal, hey, can I get your attention, please, symbol. Like, you definitely don't grab somebody's ass if that's all you're trying to do. And dude got what was coming to him. Brilliant story. Love it.
Yeah. And this may be a bit niche, but I got a message on the Sister Getting Out of Hand that said, I would, but they're not. So good news. The sister finally not out of hand and we can stop doing the show now. That's newsworthy, isn't it?
Totally newsworthy. Although I would disagree with the emailer's assessment of the situation because the sis are, in fact, far, far out of hand. And I frankly don't see that situation changing anytime soon. So sis, get your shit together.
Seriously. Ari and I want to stop doing the show. So, just get it together.
And so... Finally, we come to the part of the show where we share good news from you, the listener. And I love this so much because I think oftentimes we're programmed that like, oh yeah, I got good stuff going on, but like I don't want to brag about it or I don't want to put it out there because it seems self-centered or whatever. And you know what? Like, let's be self-centered for a minute. Like, there's good stuff going on in our lives. Let's have a party about it. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what this episode is about. So, Riss, would you like to start with the first one?
Sure. Danielle says, I'm now living with my partners, a triad, and life is good. I can fully appreciate that. I live with a triad myself.
That's amazing. Danielle, my husband moved back home after a year of being long distance for work. Jesus, I could not imagine.
Oh, yeah. I'm far too clingy to not live with my partners for a year.
Same. Like, I can handle a couple of days for a con, that kind of stuff. That stuff is pretty normal, but a year, whew.
Yeah. I've actually flown home early just so I could be back with my partners. So I'm not good at being by myself for long periods of time.
Same.
So Angela says, my happy little poly triad, another one, is buying a house together in 4 days. All 3 names on the deed. Yay, poly debt. And a picture of it. And of course, dear friend Bethany says, oh my glob, that is a beautiful house. And it really is.
I was going to say, yeah, it for real is. James says, my anxiety is finally under control and I'm almost finished with Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Can't wait to see the Voyager crew. James, you have been on a journey, my friend, and I am so glad to hear that.
Yeah, I wonder how much flirting with my husband has helped. Oops. Seriously, though, have you met Aiden? He's adorable. How could you not flirt with him?
Agree. Hard agree.
Michelle says, I'm working my way through TN. Is that a Star Trek thing?
Yeah. Next Generation and DS9 and on to Voyager.
Yay! I'm one of those people that doesn't get most things, but I'm happy when people are happy, especially if it's something they're passionate about.
Same. I'm like, hey, I'm really glad you're excited about that and that you have that good thing in your life. I don't understand it, but I don't have to. It's fine.
Exactly.
Janet says, went to buy my kiddo a book she really wanted and found a copy that was signed by the authors and the artists. Have a happy daughter. That is really cool. I'm interested in knowing what book it was.
Yeah. And cheap plug, I have 6, and if you want them signed by the author, hit me up.
Link will be in the show notes.
Now, so it's a good time. Okay, Jane says, I have completed my Transformer collection. Yay!
Which, like, if it's, like, totally complete, good Lord, where do you keep all of them? Jeff says, I have 4 months to go and I've already raised more money for charity than I did last year. That's really cool. And Jeff has told me what charity he raises money for, and it is slipping my mind at the moment. So I'm really excited, and I'm also a dick because I can't remember what charity he's talking about.
It's okay. It's probably in Pittsburgh, so it's worth forgetting about. Sorry,
Fair.
Jeff. I'm from Cleveland. You make us sad, okay? Mark says, for the last Good News episode, I talked about my upcoming trip to Mongolia to see my nephews and niece. I can talk. And I got back a couple of weeks ago and had a blast. And there's an adorable picture.
Oh, so good. Little babies picture. Everybody's smiling and having a good time. Oh, I love it.
Ooh. Do you mind if I do the next one, given who it is?
Absolutely. Go for it.
So my wonderful, amazing, beautiful co-host, Bethany Futrell, who we just had a live show in Chicago last month with a couple of amazing people, and who is an amazing person, and I'm so glad of how far she's come. Bethany Futrell says, I had just had an in-person conversation with my partner's parents where I felt like I could be myself. One of only a few times in 8 years, I'm finding my voice. And she is, and I've been so proud of her, especially recently.
That's amazing. Barbara says, I picked up my kids from camp today after being away from them for a week. They stayed in the gender-inclusive cabins and had an amazing experiences. My son told me a speech he gave the last day about how amazing humans and humanity is and how strong humans have to be who they truly are. That is parenting done right, my friend.
Gender-inclusive cabins. Like, given that I'm in Minnesota, I would love to go to a gender-inclusive cabin.
Right.
Because even the ones up here, I will say, I always joke that Minnesota Republicans are not like the rest of the world Republicans. But even they're really nice up here when we've been up far north and haven't given us any trouble. So I'm curious what a gender inclusive cabin would be like.
So I think she's talking about Camp Quest, and they have, if I'm remembering right, I could be wrong. And Camp Quest people, you can send me hate mail if I'm getting this wrong. But my understanding is that like kids just get to pick which cabin they stay in, and that's like it's not a gender thing.
Oh, yay! That's awesome. Rebecca says, nerding out on archaeology in Sardinia? Sardinia? Am I saying that right?
Sardinia, I think.
Sardinia. Okay. Given that I studied anthropology in college, I can definitely appreciate that. Never got to do any field work, so.
That's awesome. Claire says Callie's doing a good news show now. That's some good news. See, that's why we do this stuff. People get super excited. I love it.
Yeah, I've participated in every one, just not from this direction.
Right.
Jim says, a dear friend that I never get to see enough came for a short visit, and I skipped a few days of work and had the best time I've had in months. Aww.
And we're not using Jim's last name, so he doesn't get fired from work for skipping work. Eric said, I had an awesome friend fly out and got to show them my new life in Texas. Oh yeah, that's good stuff. And Eric is part of the Austin atheist community, which is I had the pleasure of visiting with some of those folks when I went down with Ari to do Atheist Experience. So that was a lot of fun.
Yay. Timothy says, my wife gave birth to a beautiful baby boy on Monday and everyone is happy and healthy. Pictures available upon request. I'm not big on sharing unsolicited baby photos. I think when you have a kid, that's a perfect time to be able to share photos. Just saying.
I was going to say, Timothy must not know me super well, because if we're talking about cute babies, like, you know, there's that meme that's like, I never don't want cute pictures of babies or puppies or kittens or hedgehogs, or like if there is a cute picture of a thing, I want all of it shared with me.
Absolutely.
Some other people feel different. I respect that. That is not who I am.
Yeah, definitely. My son's 11 and I caught him cuddling with the kitty when he was asleep and I took a picture of it. So my baby's 11 and I'm still sharing pictures of that. That's how it works.
Good. It's so good. Elsa says, our home D&D group, Dungeons and Dragons, nestmate 7-year-old and I'm guessing that means something to D&D folks, because I'm not really sure what that means.
I'm pretty sure it means the person with whom they're in a relationship and live with, their 7-year-old and themselves.
Oh, okay. Nestmate 7-year-old and I. So the person I live with, my 7-year-old and I. Okay. Wow. That was
poly terms.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, it's not even that early in the morning, Riss, and I am just not there. It's fine. Have survived our first 2 encounters as the Tiny Terrors team. The giant of our group is a barbarian kobold at 2.5 feet. I'm guessing those are also D&D things. I don't know. So yeah.
Yeah. Sean says, I've lost 30 pounds since I started trying to lose weight, and it started the book you recommended.
I think there's an if missing there, or started or with. I think it started with the book. Yeah.
The diet fix. So thanks for that. Got a long way to go, but it's some real progress. Absolutely. Always celebrate your progress and don't let anyone make you feel bad for it.
Dorkfish. Guessing we'll just go with that. I got my first tattoo. That's very exciting. I have a few tattoos and it's never enough.
I have 16 and the one on my back is still unfinished because I moved, but yeah, I know the feeling. My friend, our mutual friend, Jen, I guess, in a poly relationship with a delightful bi man. Good. Bi people get erased a lot and get a lot of stigma, so I'm always happy to hear that.
And Stevie says, HRT is bringing about changes in my sexual identity. I can identify with that, my friend. I've let go of thinking I need to come in order to have an orgasm. I went in a date with a trans mask NB and he kissed me. I'm producing regular songs, spoken word, and podcasts, and I have never felt prettier than I do right now. Just look. And then she shared a picture in which she does look very pretty, and I'm stoked. That's that whole like beginning of HRT and stuff was such a weird but like exciting and scary time in my life, and I look back on it fondly, thankfully. Wouldn't care to repeat it because it was the time, but I do look back on it fondly, and I'm very, very excited that you're going through that, my friend.
Yeah, everybody thinks mine started with the Pastor Carl video, but nobody realizes that I went through a wedding and it was 3 months into HRT before I came out screaming publicly. Not to interrupt the flow, but I did just get a text message with some good news with someone who might know that we're doing this.
Let's hear it.
Sarah says, "Ooh, I have one. I am in the middle of a weekend love bubble with my amazing, caring, and beautiful girlfriend. We're sharing deeply personal stories, kayaking, choo-chooing, and listening to all the greatest music."
Like literally the only way that could get better is if there was a puppy involved.
There were plenty of puppies on the shore yesterday, so
There it is.
That counts.
There it is.
Colleen, who I will get to meet in California, as far as I know, next month, says, "My 40th birthday is this month, and I'm having a big party. Really looking forward to it, as you should."
That's awesome. You know, I haven't had a proper birthday party since I was like 16. Maybe I'll try to do that this year. I don't know. April says, "This guy showed up and made himself at home almost a year ago. He doesn't fix much, but he's a great listener and makes stuff easier to handle." And then April shares a picture of her kitty.
Yeah, I have just been informed that there was not a puppy, but there is a kitty here. So I guess that really seals the perfection.
Yeah, that totally counts. I mean, I am biased. I am a dog person. But like, if that's what makes you happy, I'm there. I'm 100% there with you.
Absolutely. And just to help sell you on coming up to visit me, everyone and their mother has a dog in Minnesota, and they always take them to the lake with them. So hint, hint. I'm always encouraging me and Callie to get together because we are a dangerous tag team, and we are still waiting on Eli Bosnick to answer our wrestling challenge. Marlene says, "I started keto a month ago. I assume that's a diet."
Keto, yeah. It's basically no carb eating.
Oh, I did that once, and then unfortunately the person who was cooking for me moved out unexpectedly, and it did something to my metabolism. So I'm definitely glad it's working for you, Marlene, and other people who are using this. And they've said I've lost a total of 45 pounds. Yay! More good news.
Bryn says, "I moved in with my girlfriends, plural, and it's gay and trans AF. And I am stoked AF."
Yeah, absolutely. And everything. Why wouldn't it be? Like,
right.
I even texted you yesterday about how we embarrassed the shit out of a couple of cis people because we were, like I said, we were kayaking on that river, and there was a cis couple, and one was wearing athletic sandals, so we knew what kind of cis couple it was, probably unfairly, but who cares?
Right.
And they kind of had the vibe of, "Oh, we're taking two separate kayaks because, we've been in a relationship longer than 3 months and we don't need to do tandem." And they also had that vibe of, "Oh, these dykes aren't going to be able to out paddle us." Like, you know when you just get that vibe.
Oh, yeah.
Say it. And we got back to the place so far ahead of them that we couldn't even see them by the end of it. So heck the cis.
Yes. Heck the cis, befuddle the cis, confuse the cis. I'm so into it.
Definitely. Dan says, 3 happy, healthy kitten siblings who love each other. They have been with us for a month and are almost 3 months old.
Oh, good Lord. So in the show notes, I will link to the Facebook thread where this is happening, because there's lots of good pictures in this thread. Obviously, that can't come through in a podcast. And I don't want you to just take our word for the fact that these pictures are adorable. They are. So I will link to this Facebook thread so you can actually see the adorableness in action. It's incredible.
It really is. This is exactly what I needed.
Our dear friend Ali says, "Decided to get top surgery. I don't know when it will happen, but I at least made the decision and emailed my doctor to get more info about what I'm going to need as far as litters and such." That is a huge step. Super, super excited. I know lots of trans folks who have had top surgery, and like universally, it's been a good thing. So very, very excited. Also, Ali has been on T for 2 months, which is exciting.
I was happy to see them in Chicago, and I'm so glad they felt comfortable enough to spend time with us.
Good stuff. Love you, friend. Mwah.
Absolutely. Our friend Lou says, "Just finished my second session as a Camp Quest counselor. Every part of me hurts except for my soul, which is better than ever." And also for Franz.
Aww. Every part of me hurts except for my soul. I think I'm gonna steal that phrase because that's just, I love that.
Yeah. Oh, good. This is like, you need to invite me back for these. This is awesome.
Amanda says, I finished my fifth session at Camp Quest with Lou, the commenter from above. I'm exhausted, but it's a happy exhausted. And and then Amanda says, now we are here. Or Lou says, and now we're here. And there's a picture of Lou making a really funny face and Amanda. And it's kind of hard to see where they're at. It looks like they're in a crowd of some sort, maybe a concert. I'm not sure. But it's a great picture. Nonetheless, remember, there will be a link.
Yeah. At this point, since we have the same co-host, we should probably just blend our shows and call it The Gaytheists Say That the Sister Getting Out of Hand or something like that.
I'm in.
Yeah, absolutely. John says, I and a partner have recently started a new business called Cat's Eye Data Processing, LLC. We will focus on proofreading, editing, limited bookkeeping. We already have 3 conferences booked and plan to advertise in college. Congratulations.
That is awesome. Kind of scary, starting a business and all of that, but like, that's awesome. That's a huge step. Colette says, I ran and finished my first Spartan race and I didn't die. I think that's going to be my feeling after roller derby tryouts, because the minimum skills test is actually pretty brutal. Basically, you have to make 27 laps around a derby track in 5 minutes or less. And like it's outlandishly ridiculous. I'm on top of lots of other things. So yeah, I am terrified. So hopefully I won't die like you didn't die, Colette.
I'm convinced. I don't think I could finish one. I don't remember the last time I was on roller skates, but Sarah has assured me that if we go skating, they'll hold my hand.
Nice.
Ashton says, I started outing UC for throwing away 80% of the recycling since 2010, and hopefully this changes something without me getting fired.
UC being University of Cincinnati.
Oh, okay. So they were throwing away 80% of the recycling, and they outed them for it. So
yeah.
That's news. I keep referring to yesterday because it was such an amazing day, but you know when you go to a place that's sort of rural and you expect certain behaviors from people?
Oh, totally.
We got the exact opposite.
Nice.
Not only did everybody there gender me correctly, but when the guy in a bucket hat was giving us a tour of the place, he was talking about the history of the area, and he was like, yeah, we used to have this thing called the EPA that managed these things before it was dismantled. I like socialism. And I was like, okay, I was not expecting to hear that here. Well,
oh, wow.
Yeah, it was pretty special. And I suppose it's, once again, my own little happy good news, but I was waiting to pay for parking, and a little girl said, I like her hair. And every time I get gendered correctly by a child, it just seems even more special.
Oh, that's the best. God, kids are awesome.
Yeah.
Chad had gastric sleeve surgery a little over a week ago. Boy, I was there. I do not miss that time in my life, but it was a good thing. So I'm very happy for you.
What does that mean?
It's the same weight loss surgery that I had.
Oh, okay. I didn't recognize the terminology. My fault. CJ Catherine, I think. CJ, anyway, says, I finally got in to see the doctor for pain management. I have an appointment at the end of the month. Yay.
Yes, that is a good thing. Good thing, my friend. Chris says, after coming out a couple of weeks ago, last night I played Dressed for the first time. Chris is a musician, so Chris played Dressed for the first time. Just a simple open mic. Wasn't going to jump into one of my regular shows yet. Decided to stay dressed to go see a friend's band. It was my regular place, and the regulars looked after me. Hugs like a receiving line. New avatars from a picture taken there if you want to see how happy I was. And Chris does look very happy in that picture.
I have followed Chris's story, and I'm so happy. Bethany says, good news the first. I finally resolved to make a huge change to my old Sprite comic that I've been wanting to do for years. Already, things are looking so much better, and I have such wonderful plans going forward with my project to remaster Eon's World 1.0, as well as story ideas for Eon's World 2.0. Chapter 8 of 2.0 is coming along slowly but well, too. Good news the second, my BFF Amy came to visit on Tuesday, and we had a lovely afternoon together with my girlfriend Alice. Yay!
Right.
And Amy also brought a huge haul of new robots for my Transformers collection, and as of typing this, I have 2 big ones left to unbox. How will I find shelf space for them all? That seems to be a thing. I've noticed a lot of Transformers talk among my trans friends recently, but hey, I am happy if it makes you happy. Good news, the next one. I'm up to date on Steven Universe, and the last few episodes were so full of the wonderful gay that made me and Alice so very happy. Well, of course. I can't wait to share the latest episodes with my BFFs, Jack and Christine. Good news, the fourth. Me and some friends are about to embark on a podcasting adventure of our own that we hope to help to bring light and joy to many people by geeking out about the things you love. Always, always start a podcast.
Yes, 100% of the time start a podcast.
Yep. And good news, the last, Callie and Ari, well, Callie Rissy are doing another good news episode of the Gaytheist Manifesto, and I can't wait to hear it. Sorry to disappoint. I'm filling in for my co-host.
And Bethany sent me a message on Facebook and was like, sorry if that was too much. And I was like, listen, that's never a thing. There's never too much good news. Please always share all of the good news.
Absolutely.
Joe says, I've gotten out of an abusive relationship. I have a job I love with coworkers I enjoy. Those I love and myself are in good health. Fantastic.
Good. So good. And Alicia, who might know something about getting out of a situation like that.
Right.
We both had her on our shows. I'm finally in a position to afford a vacation, and I'm taking my spawn to Puerto Rico. We're going to tour the old fort in San Juan, snorkel with the sea turtles at Culebra. I'm terrible with words sometimes. And night kayak on the bioluminescent bay in Fajardo. I'm too excited to experience this wonderful getaway with my kids in only 3 years after escaping my abuser, #winning. So
God, if there is anyone who deserves something like that, it is Alicia.
Alicia is one of my favorite people in the world.
She is just fantastic. Maddie says, I just got my entire apartment cleaned and my case manager at a healthcare clinic is back from a 2-month-long recovery from a much needed surgery. And I'm glad she's feeling better because I was very worried about her. And it seems the surgery really helped her. And that makes me happy because she's super awesome. Also, sorry about that super run-on sentence, but this is Facebook and IDC about run-ons. It's fine.
Yeah.
IDC about run-ons either.
That is a really long sentence, but it's news, so who cares?
Exactly. We will celebrate nonetheless.
Is that pronounced Kale or Kali?
I think Kaylee.
Kaylee, okay.
I think.
Pronunciation, not my strong point. I got a new job that will hopefully be better on my body and not make me do 15-hour shifts. Nobody should have to do 15-hour shifts.
No shit. Nobody should have to do 15-hour shifts of any kind, let alone the kind like, I mean, even just 15 hours of sitting in a computer chair in front of a desk is not okay. Good Lord. Larry hit 1,000 downloads. Plus, I'm working on a super secret awesome project for the show with some amazing people. And the next World of Warcraft expansion comes out next month. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah. Sounds like you have a pretty fantastic producer, Larry. That's pretty awesome. Right. Crystal says, I'm getting married in 2 months. Yay!
I did that. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I'm doing it again because I didn't get enough the first time. Because once again, fuck the state.
Right. Jamie says, I was right. Eating Panda Express last night was a serious mistake. So I guess like not good news on the Eating Panda Express, but like good news about being right, if I'm interpreting that correctly. So look, I'm stoked on that. And tomorrow is my birthday. Well, happy birthday, Jamie.
Indeed. Detective Maxon says, I replaced the kitchen faucet this evening. Good.
Yeah, and not a thing I'd be able to pull off.
No. And I was super happy to see him in Chicago, too.
Jason says it's a small thing, but this Tom Waits double live album is the best $18 I've spent on a long time. And my dog is adorable. So the second thing I'm with, dogs are adorable. I just plain don't get Tom Waits. Like, that's one of those things where it's like, I don't get it. I don't have to get it. But like, I can't fucking stand Tom Waits. Maybe I just made a lot of people really mad. I don't know. I don't get it.
Hey, it makes him happy, and Jason's good people. So
I agree wholeheartedly. One of the best people. I love Jason.
Yes. He brought me out to give a speech once at Lehigh Valley Humanists, and given that they've had people like No Illusions, I'm pretty happy to be associated with that kind of company.
Yeah, and I'm going out there in November. Very excited about it.
Oh, nice. I might have to make a trip to Pennsylvania if I'm ready to travel at that point. Alice says, I just participated in Plein Air at the fair. Plein, I think I say that right, for the 4th year in a row. And this time I finished my art. Good for art. Yay.
Huzzah! Anissa says, after 13 increasingly miserable years at his job, Ben is quitting. Ben is her husband. In 8 days, our family is moving to Colorado for a far better opportunity for our entire family. Hooray for family improvement. That's good stuff.
Yeah, both of them have been following me since I was on GAM. I'm pretty sure that's when it happened, but they have been very supportive of me, and they are good people.
Extraordinarily good people. Yeah, and Ben follows up by the good news. I'm only a little scared.
Lee says, my birth mother came to visit this weekend to my new house, which is also amazing. Because of financial nightmare due to medical issues, I lived in a house with a bad roof, and my kids didn't have their own rooms. Now we have our own rooms and bathrooms and even a living room and family room. So happy news here. And I was able to share this with my birth mother. Yay.
Oh, God. That's so good. Steven has a new puppy, and I die every single time I see this picture.
No, you get the puppers.
Oh, it's so sleepy. Again, the link to this Facebook thread will be in the show notes.
I wonder how Pee-Pee's doing.
Yeah, we need to get that update.
Yeah. We miss Ari. Both of us do. So Michelle says the daughter's wedding went off with no major hitches last week. Good. Good.
That's good. That's good. Oh man. I see Celeste and I avoided that stress by making our wedding super, super uncomplicated. So that was good, even though there were still a couple of weird things. But like, yes, that's good stuff.
Like the black cat that ran through it.
Right. I want to get married too, guys. Amber says, after previously losing my job due to restructuring of the company, they are offering me my job back. Also, mine and Jeremy's kids are doing fantastic.
Very good. Very good. Rachel says, excited for Alicia to go to Camp Lilac next month. That's awesome. I don't know what Camp Lilac is, but it sounds amazing.
Yeah, I mean, camp is just cool. I mean, some camps aren't, obviously, but like I have super, super good memories. Like I was a Boy Scout as a kid, and like Boy Scout camp was awesome. At least it was for me. Julian got a 98% in my first grad school class going to the Trans Health Conference in Philly to ask all the questions about baby making and HRT. Came out to my husband's parents and it went well. Have an endo appointment to start T in a month. Finally. And told my mom and grandma and siblings about my plans to medically transition, which I was dreading. Mom and grandma didn't take it so well, but both said in the end they want me to be happy and they can't control what I do with my body, but will always love me. P.S. Thank you for this thread. I've been so bogged down in a cloud of dysphoria and dissociation. I didn't realize how many things I have to be grateful for and proud of. Love you, big sis. Love you, Celeste. Oh my God, Julian. That makes me so happy. Julian is someone whose story I've been following for some time, and I've watched a lot of this, and it's so good to see it coming together.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed THC. I went to university in Philly, so I'm familiar with a lot of the people who are there. Tried to get my surgery through some of the providers there, but everybody had a 3 to 5 year wait period, so I kind of lucked out getting out to the Mayo Clinic. I'm so happy for you. And I hope everything goes smoothly, and I hope your mom and grandma come around. Bethany, again, says, I must add one more. My grandmother retired to Grangemouth. I think I said that right. Probably not. At the end of January, and for the first time in 12 years, we now live close enough to see each other regularly. We usually meet up at a local cafe every Thursday when she comes through to Edinburgh for some of the voluntary work she's doing now to keep herself out of trouble.
And again, just always give all of the good news. Don't feel bad. I'm so into it. Victoria is only one step away from getting my legal name change completed, which I know in some places that's a giant pain in the ass. Where I was, thankfully, it was just a matter of like some paperwork and like a month-long wait. But like nonetheless, huge step. Very, very happy for you, my friend.
I had to get fingerprinted. Both Aiden and I had to publish it in 2 newspapers, which was embarrassing as shit because we had to dead name ourselves.
Right.
So I hope it all goes smoothly for you and that there's minimal embarrassment and effort necessary. Rob, who we both love.
Oh my God, so much.
I am 2 weeks from finishing my last grad class of my master's, then finishing up my research/thesis in the fall. Also, I just passed my 90-day review at work. Oh, and I survived an exercise in radical vulnerability on the Gaytheist Manifesto, Love Ya Friend. And I was blown away by your episode, Rob, and I'm proud to know you.
Yeah, same. That interview took place like way too long ago. Like that should have seen the light of day a lot sooner, but life circumstances and stuff. But yeah, Rob is someone who I absolutely love dearly. And I like, it was very, very fitting that was the last piece because, at the end of the day, that's what we're about. Like sometimes, folks mentioned that the show gets pretty dark, and sometimes it does because we live in a world that sometimes gets that way for us. But at the end of the day, there is beauty to celebrate in embracing who you are and living life with vulnerability, living life with authenticity, and that's what we want to encourage. So, in the midst of all of the terrible shit that's going on in the world, we like to be sort of lots of people are screaming about the terrible stuff in the world, and I want them to keep doing that. A lot of those folks do it better than we ever could anyways. And so, part of the reason that the good news episodes exist is because sometimes folks just need a respite from that kind of stuff, to talk about good things, to rest and recharge. And that's why we do this. And that's why we've been doing them kind of more often lately, because I think in some ways, the times where we least feel like doing this kind of stuff is when it is the most necessary. Obviously, people deal with things differently. Some people need to dive in and feel like they're doing something about it. Some people need to, disconnect a little bit. Some people need to be reminded that there's good stuff in the world. And for me, just personally, it helps to know, in the midst of all this terribleness, that there is beauty and that there is good stuff and there are people being good to each other out there. And that kind of helps ground me. So, we can do what we need to do about the bad stuff. And so thank you, Marissa, for coming on. Thanks to everybody for sharing their good news. Very much appreciated. And I am definitely leaving this record feeling uplifted. I don't know about you.
Absolutely. And like last time, I plan to read my sign off along with yours since you inspired mine.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so obviously, Marissa Alexa McCool, the Sister Getting Out of Hand podcast, the Inciting Incident podcast, lots of books, all that kind of stuff. Those links will be in the show notes. You should buy all her books. You should book her for your group. You should send her love and happiness because she deserves all of that. That, my friends, is going to do it for this episode of the Gaytheist Manifesto. If you think what we do here is important, please share this around to your friends. Search the Gaytheist Manifesto on Facebook and Twitter to find us there. I'm at Gaytheist Callie on Twitter, and you can email us at podcast@thegaytheistmanifesto.com. We're a part of the Trans Podcaster Visibility Initiative. We're a group of trans podcasting badasses working to bring more trans voices into podcasting and other content creation. Search the Trans Podcaster Visibility Initiative on Facebook for more info. If you want to support the show and the activism we do, you can head to patreon.com/the Gaytheist Manifesto. Make a per episode donation as little as $1 per episode. And if you can't do that, you can give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. Share us around to your friends. It all helps and it all makes a difference. Marissa, take it away.
Yeah. And also I want to say you can follow me at patreon.com/inciting incident podcast for Inciting Incident, and patreon.com/QAF for the Sister Getting Out of Hand. You can get my books personally at rismccool.com, and everything helps right now because, like I said, I did lose my job and I'm less than 2 months from surgery. So I doubt I'm going to get to be hired by any place that'll bring me on for 6 weeks and then let me take 6 weeks off. So I appreciate any help with that because I would love to do this full time. I don't care if you came out at 5 or 50. I don't care if people think you pass or not. I don't care if you changed your name and or pronouns or not. I don't care if you redefined your orientation or not. I don't care if you're out to the world or even just me because you messaged me to come out, which happens at least once a week. You, my fellow trans person, deserve to have your name, identity, and well-being respected. You do not deserve to be shamed, harmed, or put in danger in any way, nor do you deserve gatekeeping from other trans people who can't see past their own experience. I see you. I love you. You are valid. Also, TERFs can go suck a fuck.
So good. But before we go, I want you to know that if you're lost, you're hurting, you're scared, if you feel like no one cares and no one understands, you need to know that there's a community out here that loves you, cares for you, knows that you're capable of amazing things and that you are worthy of love. If you're struggling, please don't be afraid to reach out. Until next time, friends, this is the Gaytheist Manifesto.